Welcome, I'm Larry Hoosie. Let's get started with our Pussy Willow ribbons. This is what we're going to make. I use Pussy Willow. I use Pussy Willow because it's very flexible. We're tying it together with bind wire. It's an Oasis product. It's a paper covered wire. The easy way to make enough ties to tie it off with is to get a piece of cardboard or something the size of the wire that you're going to use. This is about 7 inches long, so the pieces are about 7. And what we'll do is we'll cut it on the top, cut it on the bottom, and to make little hairpins that we're going to need out of them, the easy way is to take a few and fold them over your scissor, and that makes a nice sharp crease. We're tying them together. It's called tatami. Tatami is a Japanese floor covering, and that's the method of the weaving of the top layer of it. So how we're going to begin is we're going to start at the beginning and we're going to give it a twist. Now for the spacing of it, it's the amount of twists. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. I was giving 4 twists. And we do this all the way down, about every 2 inches. And this is the start of it. Once we have it all the way down as far as we want to go, straighten them out and just make sure they're tight. And we begin with another piece. We lay it in, even it off. Get your wires ready so they overlap. Each one of these should have been 4. I wasn't counting. And we begin tying in another piece. Such. Keeping the spacing the same, we do 4. That's what we started with. That's what we'll continue with. And you do this for the amount of pieces that you're using, and that's the width of your strip. There's several videos out there on YouTube that you could view. With other things that they make with bind wire, and then you add in another one. Slipping it on, getting all your wires set. Once you start, it's not bad. It's just getting started. It's not a quick project. Then I add on another piece, and this keeps going, as I said, for as many pieces as you want to add on. That's the width of your strip. And we add another piece. For our purposes, we're using 4. Now that we have all of our Pussy Willow ribbons done, it's time to begin with our design. I chose this container. It had a springy feel, and it looked kind of neat. It's lumpy. It's a cylinder-shaped base. And what I'm using is a piece called an adapter. It's by Oasis. It's made for a candlestick. It has a little knob that'll fit into your candlestick. In order to put this big of a piece of Oasis, I clipped out this top ring and I just left the pins. So let us begin. I put all around the top, I washed the vase good. I wiped alcohol on the top just to make sure if there's any grease, it's gone. I also, I did the same thing on the bottom. I put alcohol on the bottom. What we're using to adhere the adapter with the foam on it is Oasis U-Glue Dashes. It's a sticky adhesive. They're little tabs. They have a little tab on the end. You peel them off, and I'm just using it on the rim. They're very sticky. And I'm peeling off the paper. Since I don't have nails, we'll use a plier. There we go. So we have our sticky top. And what we're simply going to do, make sure it's nice and dry underneath, no water, is we're just going to place this down and center it and drop it and press it. And there, and that's on there. If by chance you're a little leery about it, you could run some thin silver wire on the outside of the vase just to hold it on if you want to. But I feel it's pretty much secure, so I'm not going to bother. What we're going to do is we're going to start out with our Pussy Willow ribbons. As I said, it's a very flexible product, plant. And we'll just flex it and it'll bend. I use Oasis bind wire, and I'll tie a piece at the top. Just quickly, we'll tie it. And we'll tie it at the bottom. We'll make it a little smaller. We'll use this one. I think we want different sizes. You want some big, you want some small. Okay, we'll make this one a little smaller. There we go. We'll tie it on there. To make sure, we'll poke it up and retie it. And to insert it, there's too many pieces here. Okay. We want to have it so it goes this way. And we want another one to go almost opposite that. Let's get another one. There we go. Try another. Here again, I had some left over from when we were making the ribbons. As I said, I chose this Pussy Willow because it's gray. Nice gray, soft color. It's much better when you're making your ribbons if you could do it when the Pussy Willows aren't totally out. Once they're out like this, it just makes them a little bit harder and they fall off. It's better if you get them when they first start. Okay, so this one's going this way. We want this one to go the opposite way. And let's see what happens. There we go, we cut off. I like these Ikebana shears. Here we go. You can always adjust it. And we're going to make a couple more. We'll use this little fella here. What we're going to do is make two smaller ones here. 1 and 2. Since there's nothing to poke in, what I'll use is a piece of the Pussy Willow. Use bind wire. and we'll make our own our own stake. Tie it off. Okay. So I want a piece to come about like that, which means I'll cut it here. And we'll bind that together. And here we can use one of these to impale it and hold it. Okay. So we'll start here. And we'll take this one around. There we go. And I want one more. And we'll take this one. We'll make our stake from one of the sticks at the bottom. Tie it off with the bind wire. Once you see it done, this is giving it rhythm. Rhythm is one of the principles of design. There's 6 principles, and there's 8 elements. Okay, one side. And let's see where we're going to go with this one. We're going to go inside and like that. So we'll make it, give it flex. It bends so nice and easy. Okay, I think, as they say, measure twice, cut once, or cut it big. Okay, so let's try. We'll go through. There. Now we have rhythm. I'm not happy with this one. I think I'm going to move it a little bit more like that. There. Okay. And we're going to add to increase the rhythm. This is Pussy Willow that isn't out yet. And this is the best way to get Pussy Willow for design. This way you can make it up and they'll once they come into bloom. Now we're penetrating our space. And same thing here. We can do a little, I think. There. So I think we can cut it about here. I started this design, I sketched it out as I've been known to do lately. I used to just do them. We'll bend it a little so it goes down. Maybe I cut it too large. Okay, we'll cut it back. I wanted a design that was full of movement, like spring is. Spring is full of everything coming about. There. Now, we'll start adding some leaves. The leaves that we're using are Dusty Miller. Senecio. I picked Dusty Miller because they're nice. The leaves are a nice silver gray. As you see, there's a theme going on. The yellow flowers. It's the new Pantone colors. Now, what we're going to do with this is we're going to take a wire that is about 28 gauge wire, and we're going to make hairpins. What we do is a hairpin is bent, so we want to bend the wire. This is what is done for corsage work. Now, the leaf has a center spine. So what we're going to do is poke a small hole. We're poking a hole through the back, through the spine, so that there's just a little bit showing here. And this is how they do leaves and delicate material when they do bridal work. You could see there it's just pierced a small amount. Then we wrap what is showing on the stem with floral tape. Now, floral tape, there's a little trick to it. You stretch it and roll it. You stretch it and roll it. And that's how it's put on. And the heat of your fingers as you're rolling it sets the wax in, and you pull it off. And there you have your leaf. Now you can bend this leaf because it has a little bit of wire, and the leaf will bend. Let's try that again. It's the leaf. We use a fine gauge wire, like a 28, We bend it into a hairpin. The center spine of the leaf, poke it from the back through the front and back through the back. So all that's shown is this little bit here. You can see the little poke and pull it down. Some of these leaves are in the way, so you just remove them. And the trick with the floral tape is start it off, roll it and pull it, and roll it and pull it. And the friction of your fingers rolling it and pulling makes the wax on the paper tape soft. So let's continue. And we'll add some leaves, give it a little bit of foliage. Some of these are real big. So we'll pick through and find the ones that we want to use. I want to try to cover as much of the green plastic container as we could without making it look like a collar. Give them a little bit of motion, maybe poke a little fella in. The colors are really pretty silver. We'll be adding other materials, but just to start, we'll add some It's a very beautiful plant, Dusty Miller. It could grow in your yard, depending where you live. We'll leave that one alone. Put some in the back. Okay. What do we have here? Put one right there. Okay, if we need to add more, we could. And we have a collar, and most of the plastic is hidden. And even though it's covered with the tape, it still drinks water. Okay. Put this aside in case we need them later. The next we're going to add are some mini hydrangea. Just add a few. The hydrangea, when you bring them home, even if they've been in water wherever they were purchased, you want to cut them as much as you could to expose the white pith, because that's what drinks the water. And either you can use a product that Oasis sells, it's Dip It. It's an acid-based product, and you dip it in. It's a liquid. It's already pre-mixed. It's in a bottle, and you pour it into a small container, and you dip it in as far as your cut, and you put it into your flower food, into the water that contains flower food. And leave as many leaves on as possible. For this, I don't want the leaves. All I want is that little stem at the top. So we'll get rid of everything. And the little leaf that's on there. And we'll cut these up into little florets. And we'll put a few on there, and that it adds another layer of texture. We have the soft texture of the Dusty Miller Senecio. Just a few here and there. Don't forget your back. And if by chance any of your flowers seem to wilt, I fill up a tub or the sink with some ice water, cold water, and you could rehydrate them a few times, and finally they will give up, where they won't stay alive anymore. But you could have a few times, if they do wilt, I cut the stem and I place the whole flower, head and all, right into the ice water, and sink it, hold it down with something, some sort of weight. And you'll see it come back. It's like a miracle. But I saved quite a few flowers, especially these fellas. I had a little spell with them. There. Now we'll add our beautiful Ranunculus Clooney. The color is sensational. They're so pretty, so big, so pretty. On the Ranunculus, they're a hollow stem. So in order to keep them, so you can poke them in, sometimes it's a little rough to poke them in. I take a wet pipe cleaner, the color doesn't matter, and insert it up into the flower. This way, when you insert it, it won't it'll go in. The other thing I forgot to say is to use a Dibbler. I made my own. It's a dowel that has a point on the end of it, and it's made so you can make the hole. It makes it easier to insert soft flowers, even though it has the pipe cleaner in there. You don't want to make the hole any bigger. Just, oh, hello. get that fella back in. He wasn't happy there. Okay, we'll put in another. Again, we'll put a pipe cleaner in. And we'll use our Dibbler to make a hole. And we'll insert our flower. And we'll put one in back. Some of these already have pipe cleaner. As you see, the flower talks to you. By that I mean it has its own bend, and that's the way it wants to go. We'll use our Dibbler, and we'll insert the flower. All right. We'll take one more, and I'll put it up a little higher. These also can be used for floral design. We'll make our hole. Follow the line. What do we have? Okay, this needs to set up there a little more. Just move this up. There we go. This is going through. And we'll put a bud. That's attached. As you see, when I cut it, water fell out. They drink, they suck it up through the tube. Use our Dibbler and insert our stem. There. And this gives us rhythm by the Pussy Willow bands and the Pussy Willow going through. It carries your eye down, carries your eye up. And now we'll add some tulips. These tulips are Flaming Art Parrot tulips. I specifically left the wrap on them. That's to keep them so they stay straight when they're purchased. There again, you want to cut the stems. Always cut all your stems, cut off about 1 inch. And I use Dip It. It just helps the flower drink. Now these Parrot tulips, I'm peeling off this is damaged, so that'll go. And the Parrot tulip is going to follow the downward thrusting motion. Here again, we cut it at an angle. I use my Dibbler. Make my hole because the tulip itself is soft stem. And we have the tulip going down. The Parrot tulips, they're either bicolored and their petals are ruffled. That's what we find in a Parrot tulip, and they are very pretty. They come in the most wonderful shades. I picked the yellow. We'll have one more. We'll have a couple more going down. I chose the yellow with the red to break up some of the yellow going on. And we'll have one more with the downward movement. And sometimes if the tulip is not bending, if you leave it out of water, just like the calla lilies, leave them out for a little while. We have our ranunculus going up. Now to solidify that line, we'll use some broom or Ginestra. Just want a little bit going up. A lot of this is we don't need. Just want, this has a nice fragrance too. Really had wanted freesia. I couldn't find it when I went to market. And it gives nice movement. Spring design. It has rhythm. We have textures. Texture in the nice soft gray pussy willow, the stems. the texture in the leaves of the Dusty Miller. We have texture and color in the Tulip, in the Ginestra. We have different sizes. We have the rhythm. We have a balance where Ranunculus going up, the Parrot tulips coming down. So there's a balance. We have dominance, which would be the center. We have contrast in colors and textures. All materials in this video will be in the comment section. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Comments and suggestions are always welcome. Thank you for watching.